Oh my gosh. I cannot believe how good this chapter is. Rocks is the GOAT. We already knew that, but there is so much incredible stuff happening in this chapter. Let's just get into it. So on the cover story, it's finally ending. Yamato returns to the Flower Capital and reunites with the others. Good. None of us really cared about this. I'm glad we could just move on to a new cover story. Hopefully it's like one that's significant. You know, like before when we saw stuff actually happening with like the Blackbeard pirates abducting Pudding, you know, stuff like that. Not Yamato and whatever the heck that she's up to. Who cares? Rocks saved and helped Eris and Teach to escape. Eris told Rocks to meet in Lelouja. Okay, that's surprising, right? Lelouja. And you're thinking like, wait, I know that place. Yeah, that was the place that got nuked by Imu. After Sabo had fled the Reverie, that was the place that he wound up on. And, you know, through communication or wiretapping or whatever, the world government figured out that he was there. And then, of course, Imu found out and was like, okay, just nuke that place. Just kill him. Also, that kingdom was, like, rebelling, joining the Revolutionary Army. They, like, overthrew their king, who was, like, a vampire for some reason. Also, another interesting thing about Lelouja is back many years ago, I think it was like chapter 272's cover page, right? Ace had a cover story where he was doing Ace stuff. He was doing side quests and getting drunk and dine and dashing and stuff. And one of the places he went to was Lelouja, or at least this unnamed town in Lelouja where it had Pasta Lake. I guess Lelouja is like Italy or something. But he went there because he heard that Blackbeard had been there. So yeah, Oda, the foreshadowing lord, playing the long 4D chess game. Blackbeard went there because it ties to Rocks this whole time. We don't know yet, you know, what's going on with Lelouja. Maybe we'll find out after God Valley, possibly. But yeah, he did successfully save Eris and Blackbeard, but considering that Eris is the mother of a D, you know, Marshall D. Teach, or Davy D. Teach now, she for sure dies. She probably dies before she gets to leave, and I guess she sends Blackbeard to Lelouja or something. But, of course, we're going to talk so much more about this chapter once we get the full summary for it, which will probably be Wednesday, which is like 48 hours or so from now. So subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, guys. I know a lot of you watch this channel from the browse or the recommended, and that's fine. But if you subscribe, it'll finally get me to 300K, which I guess ultimately doesn't matter because the big goal is like, you know, 1 million. But also, like, if you hit the like button and leave a comment, it'll like boost my channel and it'll get it out there and other people will see my content and get angered by it. And then you'll have more people to argue with in the comments. So it's a win-win for everybody, right? Big Mom took the Azure Dragon Fruit with the intention of giving it to Katakuri. But Kaido ambushed her and snatched the devil fruit, then ate it immediately. I love / hate Kaido in this flashback because he is just so stupid. Like, all that he cares about is just the devil fruit, which, you know, has spawned that meme about how he, like, went out of his way to give these, like, meat-headed monologues to Luffy about hockey's the only thing that matters, Luffy. You gotta use hockey to win, and, you know, blah, blah, even though Luffy winds up defeating him with his devil fruit anyway, but... This message is sponsored by Raycon. It's Raycon's anniversary, and the essential open earbuds are stealing the spotlight. They're 30% off, and these just took my daily grind to the next level. They're sleek, smart, and way cooler than your average earbuds. They keep your ears open while still delivering crystal clear sound. They just sit right outside of your ear canal so you can stay tuned in to traffic, coworkers, or whatever's happening around you without losing out on your music or podcast quality. They're lightweight, all-day comfortable, never feel bulky, and the secure fit means that they stay put whether you're at the gym, on a walk, or just grinding through your to-do list. And of course, they have multi-point connection where they can connect to multiple devices and switch seamlessly without hassle, and 36 hours of battery life between the earbuds themselves and the charging case. I live downtown in my city, so it's really busy. A lot of people running on bikes, on scooters, cars, and with these open earbuds, I'm aware of all my surroundings now, and that takes a lot of stress off. So click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/Zhoniin to get 30% off of the essential open earbuds. Thanks, guys. And also the way that Big Mom was talking to Kaido, like during Wano, like saying that he owed her and all this, Like, we were thinking this whole time that, like, Big Mom gave Kaido the fruit, like altruistically. But no, it's like she was going to give it to Katakuri, and Kaido just meatheadedly just grabbed it. It was like, no, me! No, I need a devil fruit because I don't know why. I'm hyped up on them for some reason. Even though hockey is the only thing that matters. I much prefer young, stupid, low IQ Kaido to modern day, drunken, meathead, pseudo-intellectual Kaido for sure. I wish he kind of stayed that way. And this isn't the end of Kaido in this flashback. He does something really cool. Rocks defeats Garling. What? What? Yes! 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 Wow. Did not expect that, right? For multiple reasons. First of all, I didn't expect Garling to lose because he is being built up as the penultimate final boss, right? That's kind of like an oxymoron, right? Penultimate final boss. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's implied to be like the number 2 bad guy in the verse at this point. Or at least by my estimates. We don't really know how strong all the Gorosei are compared to each other, but come on, Garling is probably the strongest. And then Imu, of course, is like tier 0, the devil, literally. So yeah, Imu is the strongest, and then after that it's probably Garling. But this was young Garling. It wasn't 70-year-old, however old he is now, Garling. You know, implied to have the new Imu power-ups. He probably got some kind of crazy, you know, yokai devil fruit. Hopefully he doesn't get Saturn's fruit, like Imu just recycled Saturn's power and put it into him. That would be kind of lame, right? And also, we don't even know if Garling had a devil fruit originally. I don't know, he kind of implied that maybe he doesn't. I don't know, but maybe he does now. But Rock's defeating him, awesome. And I guess it means that Garling wasn't him at this point in time. But Rock's is him. And I think our estimate, or at least my estimate a couple months ago or weeks ago or whatever, was that like it seems like outside of Imu, at this point in time, the top 2 or 3 strongest people in the verse right now are like Rox, Harold, and Garp. And then maybe Roger, top 4. I thought Garling was in there, but no. He just got smacked out of that equation. Rox beats him, and it doesn't seem like it's really that big of a deal, considering that the inscription here says Rox defeats Garling. This is kind of just a footnote in this chapter. I mean, we knew that we weren't going to get an extended fight scene. That's not really what Oda does anymore, at least when it's not like the end of an arc and it's like involves the Straw Hats, you know? So we're probably just going to see like 1 or 2 panels, maybe 3 of them like, doing this, and then Rox defeats him, which is fine. But Garling definitely deserves it because he is so despicable. So yeah, Rox, oh, so awesome. This kind of does dwindle Garling a little bit, but like I said, he will be stronger in the future, so it kind of protects him somewhat. Imu possessed Saturn in his spider form, while the remaining Davy clan already had been turned into demons. Alright, this is happening again. So Imu can do this to not just Gunko, but I guess anyone that Imu has bestowed powers upon. I guess that's how it works, right? Because the Holy Knights definitely have Imu's powers because they have the regeneration thing that the Gorosei have. So I guess if you make like a contract with Imu or whatever, contract with the devil or whatever, then they can possess you. And it also, I guess, further gives credence to the theory that Imu can't leave Mary Joie. I think that's why Imu is stuck there. Because the sunlight or something like that, like, kills them or hurts them or something. That is, like, one of the big theories. And I always assumed that Imu couldn't leave Mary Joie because they never did. And they're always kind of in the Room of Flowers. And it probably has something to do with the way that they obtain their powers or something that Joy Boy did back in the day. I guess maybe that was a part of the Laugh Tale. It was like, yeah, Joy Boy died like an idiot, probably, similar to Odin. But before he died, he wound up doing something that, like, screwed Imu over. So, like, Imu did win, but ultimately lost because they have to stay in Mary Joie forever. I'm not saying that's entirely the Laugh Tale, but that's probably a part of it. And then turning the Davy clan into demons, we've seen that obviously before with Imu, like, forcibly making the giants into demons. And I wonder, like, how far can that go? Is it just like if you're a weakling, then you could just become a demon or whatever? Because Dory and Bragi are pretty powerful. Like, they're Yonko commander level minimum. And Imu just, like, Dami reverse-feed them. At the end, Whitebeard and Kaido in his dragon form join Rox, confronting Imu. Oh my gosh, this chapter, it might be the first 10 out of 10 chapter that I review for One Piece. Not the only 10 out of 10 chapter I consider in the series that I had personally reviewed as Zhoniin on the channel. This might be the first one. The one where Rocks confronts Imu and, kills the Admiral, all that stuff, that was very close. That was like a 9.5 maybe, but this might be a 10, depending on how little Oda teases us with these panels. Wow, Whitebeard, Kaido in his dragon form, and Rocks confronting Imu inside of Saturn. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Is this where Rocks dies? Maybe. I still do think that Garling is going to wind up killing Rocks, because that's like, I guess, the way that Garling gets protected, and Rocks does too. Like, Rocks defeats Garling, and then whatever happens in this fight here, Garling comes behind him and stabs him in the back or kills him or something. Jaime Lannister style. Because it just goes back to, why does Blackbeard hate Shanks? Anyway, this is beyond hype. I am so excited. I know everybody else is. I know you watching this video is getting hyped with me, and you should be. This is what One Piece is all about. But yeah, we're gonna have to wait for the full summary. Probably be Wednesday. If we get lucky, it might be tomorrow. That's why you gotta subscribe, guys, because I'm dropping that super fast. I am so fast with these reviews. You know how I do. Subscribe, guys. Like the video. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Ooh.